Okay, we're back at the machine, and I have loaded a piece of poly no-show mesh stabilizer and my large 9.5 by 14 inch hoop, because we're going to be doing 14-inch designs in this first hooping. I've got black thread in the top of my machine, and I've got a bobbin of white thread down below, and we are now going to make the top and the bottom borders for this Pumpkins and Potions project. So let's go to the screen cam and load the design. I'm going to click on Embroidery. I'm going to go to my flash drive. Going to go to Pumpkins and Potions. Going to go to my quilting designs and my Halloween border. And I am looking for the 2-inch by 14-inch design, which is right here. This is such a cool design. I'm going to click Set, and I'm going to use my stylus and hold it down on my screen and move it over to the left. I have a Baby Lock Destiny, which is identical to the Brother Dream machine. If you have something similar, you will be able to move the design just like that. Then I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to go back, the same folders, and I'm going to pull up that 14-inch design again, because we're going to stitch 2 at the same time. Click Set, grab my stylus, and bring it over right about there. Looks good. Okay, but I'm 14.02, so I'm a little high. So let's bring that down just a smidgen. I need to bring it up. 1404, 1402. Okay, there we go. This is the one that was off. So keep maneuvering it until you get your design to fit in the hoop of 14 inches. Then I can click Embroidery, and if all is well, it'll like it and it won't give me an error. Perfect, it liked it. Okay, because I'm right at 14 inches. Now I'm going to click Edit, and I'm going to click the 3 spool button, which will turn that dark and will rearrange the stitches. So when we do placement lines, it'll go 1, 2 and do both. When we tack stuff down, it'll go 1, 2 and do both. So that way we're not doing all of this whole strip here and then turning around and starting from scratch again on this one. I love it when we can do the same step on both sides. Okay, so we are good to go. So let's put the foot down. I've got black thread up above because I'm matching my fabric, which is black. So if your fabric is purple, put purple thread up on top. Match your fabric and your thread for these steps all the way through until we do the quilting. All right, so let's stitch out the placement line for the batting. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to lay my batting down. Make sure I cover all of that placement line. Then I can put the foot down, and let's tack down this batting. Okay, stop your machine, put your foot up, and then place your next piece of batting down, making sure you cover all of that placement line. Then you can put the foot back down and continue on. Okay, now I want you to take the hoop off the machine, take it over to a table, and I want you to trim away all of this excess batting around all 4 sides of both strips. And I'll meet you right back here. Okay, now that we have that trimmed up, let's put the foot down and stitch out the placement lines on both for the fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to place my fabric down, and I want to make sure that if you have directional fabric that you're putting it down with the top on this side and the bottom over here, because it's going to stitch the design out, and the top of the bottles are here, the bottom of the bottles are there. So pick which direction you're going to want your fabric to be, lay it down, and leave about 2 inches at least on the top. And then I'm going to lay the fabric down so that it is equal distance on both sides of that placement line. Okay, that's good. Let's see if I can use some of this older tape here that we used in the last video one more time to tack this down. And I'll just put a couple here lightly, just to keep it in place. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the strip on the right. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I have my fabric in the direction that I want it to go. Leave about 2 inches or so on the top, and then place it so I have equal distant fabric on both sides of that placement line. Okay, that looks pretty good. Lay it down. And we can tape this down as well. Yeah, my tape's not sticking that well, but it'll be okay for this one setup here. All right. Are we ready? Okay, so we're now going to put the foot down, and then it's going to do a tack down on each of these 2 fabrics. You don't need to stop it unless it gets stuck on something as you go across the second one. All right, here we go. Black thread is still up on top. Yeah, time to throw away the tape. I think I've used it 6 or 7 times, which is a pretty good amount before it loses its stickiness. All right, so now we're going to switch out the thread up in the top to the thread that you want to do your quilting in. All right, put that color thread up on top of your machine. Okay, so now we're ready to stitch out the quilting on these 2 strips, your top and your bottom strips. So these are a 10-minute in real life stitch out. So let's fast forward through it and enjoy the stitch out. Here we go. I never get tired of seeing that stitch out. That is so cool. Okay, so now take your hoop off the machine, take this over to a table, and I want you to trim away the excess stabilizer. Don't touch the fabric, just trim away the excess stabilizer so that you are left with the fabric strips, and I'll meet you right back here. All right, look at that. You are doing really well on your top and bottom borders. Okay, so now we only have one hooping left. Yay! So I have my 8x12 hoop that I've loaded with a piece of the poly no-show mesh stabilizer. I have white bobbin thread down below, and I switched my top thread back to black so that it matches my fabric. Okay, so now let's go to the screen cam and load the design. Okay, so we're finished with this one. It's just easier to clear the memory. Okay to delete, go back to embroidery, back to the flash drive and my folder where I have the quilting designs, and I'm going to go back to the border. And now I'm going to bring in the 2x10 inch. And again, all these measurements are based on the fact that I've done inner borders, and I showed you how to calculate the math on what sizes you would need based on if you did the inner border, you would need this size, and then if you did not do the inner border, your sizes would be slightly less. So please refer to video 35 to make sure that you have the right sizes for your quilt. All right, I'm going to bring in that 10 inch, and I'm going to bring it and with my stylus just over to the left a little bit. Then I'm going to click add, go back to my pumpkins and potions folder and the quilting designs, and I'm going to bring in that 10 inch again. Border 2x10. Okay. And worst case scenario, if you get confused on the math that I showed you earlier, you could actually follow my size designs and stitch these out with the designs that I have shown you, and then you'll just be trimming off some of the excess quilting, which I'm going to end up doing a little bit anyway, to make it fit your quilt. You could do that too. Okay, that would be a little bit easier. So click embroidery, and now I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to click on my little 3 spools and edit, and then it changed the order. So we're going to do placement lines for both first and tack down the batting on both at the same time, step by step. It's a lot easier to do it that way. Okay, so let's go back to the hoop cam. And I'm going to put the foot down and stitch out the placement lines for both sides. Here we go. Okay, this is fun, huh? Okay, so now I'm going to put down a piece of batting and make sure it covers all of that placement line. Put the foot down and let's tack down this batting. Okay, stop your machine and put the foot up. Now I'm going to place the second piece of batting, making sure that covers all the placement line. Put the foot back down and continue on. Let's tack down this piece of batting. You're almost done. You've done so well. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop off the machine, take this over to the table, and I want you to trim away all of the excess batting from around all sides of both of the strips, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so now that's trimmed up, Let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the placement lines for the fabric. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop off the machine and take it to a table. And then I want you to put 2 pieces of embroidery tape that you've kind of rolled up so the sticky side is on the outside. And put that on the top of the stabilizer here. Now I'm going to take this amazing border that you've been working on, and you're going to flip the unstitched part of the fabric over. Fold it so that you can feel the end of the batting right here. Okay, we're going to bring that up, and you can also eyeball the previous tack down line. I can barely see mine there. So I can then line her up, trying to get the old placement line to line up with the new. At the same time, I want the batting from the old project to nest up against the batting that's in the new project. Once I have that in place, I'm going to hold it down with my finger, bring this over, and then I want to tape that into place so that it doesn't move from this point on. Okay. Okay, that's good. I'm going to do the same thing over here in a second after I finish this one. So now I'm looking at this strip. I pull it down straight, and then I roll it up, and do I have equal sides of fabric outside of that placement line? And I pretty much do. Move it over just a little bit, and there we go. Okay, so now I can also put a little bit of tape in place to hold that down. Okay, that looks good. Now I went and got my other border. Say this is the one for the top, and this is the one for the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing, taking the unstitched fabric and flipping it over so I can feel the end of the batting right here. Okay, I can come over here, and then I can also see the previous placement line, just kind of right there. So I'm kind of going to eyeball it, place it down, and try to line up the old placement line with the new placement line. Okay, bear with me for a second. Okay, needs to come over just a little bit like that. And then make sure my new batting nests up with the old batting. Okay, once you have that, hold it down with your finger and bring the unstitched fabric forward. Okay, nobody move. I'm going to put a piece of embroidery tape there and a piece over here to hold that in place. Then I'm going to line the fabric up, visually look straight. Then I'm going to flip it up and say, do I have approximately the same amount of fabric on each side of that placement line? And I do. So I'm happy with that. So I will tape that in place as well. Okay. And I look visually at it, and they both look straight. So I'm happy with that. So very gently put that back on to the machine. And now we're ready to stitch out the placement line. So I'm leaving my black thread up on top because I still want to match at this point. So, wait a minute. There we go. I moved mine over so I can show you. I have a little bit more room to show you. So now I'm back in position. Let's put the foot down and let's tack this fabric down. Okay, so now you can actually take your tape off if you'd like, because you don't need it to hold the fabric down anymore. And then we're going to switch out the fabric up above to be your quilting fabric. In my case, it's the lavender. Okay, so let's switch that thread out. Okay, so I've got my lavender thread up above. So now we're going to put the foot down. We're going to stitch out the quilting. And my machine tells me this is a 7-minute in real life stitch out for each side. So 14 minutes in real life. You ready? Enjoy. Okay, that looks cool. All right, you did it. You finished stitching out the top and the bottom borders. So now I want you to take the hoop off the machine, take it over to a table, and I want you to trim away the excess stabilizer only, away from the sides and the ends of the strip. Don't touch the fabric yet. Just trim away the excess stabilizer. All right, then I'll meet you right back here. Look at what you just did. You just completed the top and the bottom border. Awesome. Okay, so this is going to be it for today's video, but stay tuned here on Jelly Molly TV for the next video where I'm going to show you how to finish up these blocks and how to attach them to your quilt. And then the quilt will be done except for the embellishments. Isn't that cool? All right, so stay tuned, and I will see you here next time on Jelly Molly TV. Take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.